Good afternoon. All right, thank you all for being here. My name is Rashid Bashir, and I'm humbled and honored to be the Dean of the Grainger College of Engineering. Yesterday and today, it's a very exciting day. We have arrived at a major milestone that you already know about, but we're excited, super excited, to announce a transformative commitment that will shape the future of entrepreneurship at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Pending approval from the Board of Trustees, the Technology Entrepreneur Center that all of you knew, TEC, will be renamed the Landuyt Center for Entrepreneurship in recognition of more than $20 million in contributions from Richard and Gayle Landuyt. So let's give them a big round of applause. The Landuyt's support will strengthen our ability to support students, founders, and innovators as they move bold ideas from concepts to impact. And you saw great examples of that just a little while ago. You're, of course, experiencing great examples of that over the last few days. The Landuyt Center will maintain two physical presences, one here at Urbana-Champaign, where the bulk of course, all the activity that we do happens, but also a second space in downtown Chicago at the Discovery Partners Institute, which is now being managed by the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and the Grainger College of Engineering. And that will further strengthen the connection between the Illinois Prairie and the Windy City's thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. So that also, I think, is a big milestone for us, deserves a round of applause. And as I said yesterday, Urbana and Chicago are now quantum mechanically entangled forever, even more so than they were before. This has really sort of institutionalized that connection, especially across the innovation ecosystem. Rick and Gayle's commitment to innovation and student success at their alma mater reflects their trust in us to teach skills and inspire ideas that continue to change the world. So please join me one more time in thanking Rick and Gayle for their remarkable leadership and investment in our entrepreneurial programming in Illinois. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're grateful that they have joined us today to share a little bit more about their inspiration behind this transformational gift. Actually, he called it investment, so I'm going to start calling it an investment. This transformational investment in our future and their vision of entrepreneurship. Let me briefly also just give you a little background. So Rick earned his Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign in 1978, and later earned a master's degree in Mechanical Engineering from University of Illinois Chicago. He's a serial entrepreneur who successfully built and sold 3 high-tech companies over the course of more than 3 decades. But like many, many great founders, his journey began first with a venture that didn't go as planned. I'm sure we'll talk about that. That early experience and what he learned from it helped, of course, shape everything that followed. So that's a story we will get back to in a minute. Rick has also been deeply engaged in mentoring founders, serving on boards, supporting early-stage investment networks, including being a founding member and advisor to the Illini Angels Network. Gayle earned her Bachelor of Science in Industrial Engineering from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign in 1978, and later received her MBA from Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management. She spent 25 years at Motorola in progressive leadership roles in supply chain management before moving into higher ed, where she taught at DePaul's MBA program and served as the director of their management development program. So together, Rick and Gayle have exemplified leadership in entrepreneurship, in innovation, business, and education, and we are honored to have them with us today here. So please, let's welcome them, and we'll have a conversation.
Everybody change chairs, right? I have a bad sense of humor, so just...
Good sense of humor that we've gotten to know and love. Yesterday, their grandson is here. He's amazing, and he's a handful. So Rick said, "Do you want to help raise him?" I was like, "Okay." He says, "I'm joking, of course." You'll take.
You'll take them.
Good. Well, thank you so much for being here. Let me make sure this is working. So first of all, again, thank you for your generosity. We are deeply indebted. So I just want to kind of understand and maybe, further, and if you can, explain and communicate. So what inspired your commitment to our ecosystem, and why do you think this time was right, this moment in time? Why now? You've been connected to our ecosystem for a long time, but sort of why now? And what drove you to make this happen? What drove you to make this happen?
Okay, I'll start on this one. Okay. Rick and I both, as you heard, graduated from U of I and had an absolutely fabulous experience here. Although we didn't really know each other at all. We just knew each other, say hello at Illinois, but we met really at Motorola. And first of all, I never would have got a job at Motorola if I didn't go to U of I and if I didn't graduate in industrial engineering. And I'm sure the same was for Rick. And because of that, we eventually met. So that's one reason why we have to give back to Illinois. But also, we both had tremendous careers afterwards, right? He worked there for a few years, and he'll tell you, I'm sure, that he had got great experience and then was prepared to start his endeavors into entrepreneurship, along with funding from me for life. But anyway, so I was able to pursue a career in supply chain management with no regrets, like nobody's saying, because in my day, a lot of people stayed at home, right? And nobody ever said anything because they're like, poor Gayle has to work. I'm like, yes. But I really just loved the job and probably didn't really have to. But anyway, so it enabled me to have a great career and Rick a great opportunity. So that was one thing. Give back to U of I for all those reasons. We wouldn't even be here at all today. So the second thing, though, and it was alluded to a little bit in the earlier presentation when the question came about AI and the impact on today's graduate, just in general on the workforce. But I take it a little more personally to the younger, the fresh outs, and also like the people that are early in their career. Because just as an example, the other day I had lunch with a girlfriend who has 3 kids. The first one's in investment banking, very successful, but she's really worried about her job and the fact that they're bringing AI into her firm and nobody really knows exactly what to do with it. And they all know they gotta have to learn it, but what are they learning? And her second child, daughter actually, was a business analyst, and she's like, no, she was in analytics. She had analytics degree and was doing analytics. And she goes, I know my job's going, so I'm getting ready to think about what do I want to do next? Where am I going to go? And she was thoroughly immersed in AI. The third one was an entrepreneur, and he just said, I love AI. It's helping me with my business. I'm able to expand at a much more rapid rate. Well, the 3 of them were together, and they said the 2 that, the younger, the latter 2 were like, let's help our investment banking sister, figure out which tools we know. So they looked at what she needed. They told her what to go train in. They gave her some ideas. She's kind of leading the firm now in AI implementation and whatever. So embrace it if it's coming was that message. The second one was, if you know it's coming and you're going to take my job away, get out. Figure out what are you going to do next quickly. And the third one, if you're an entrepreneur or if it happens to help your business, embrace it. So I want to do it to help those people that are going to completely lose their job or better learn about it fast and make the investment, in this whole entrepreneurship, because you're going to really learn how to use it and excel at that. So anyway, if you have anything to add.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
Hard to add anything to it.
Hard to add. Okay. Thank you for that. So I also heard from what you said is that you think entrepreneurship is also potentially an answer to just what's happening out there. So it's time to be even more creative. It's time to even think about more ideas, startup ideas, whether you're in a large company or a small company, because changes are happening now. So sort of the entrepreneurial mindset is also an answer to that. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, thank you. So let me ask you, so the last 25 years, TEC, what was called TEC, started 25 years ago. And here we are. And I think TC did a phenomenal job of supporting lots of students and future founders. So what are your aspirations for the Landuyt Center for Entrepreneurship for us? What do you want to, 10 years out, 15 years out, look back? We all want to look back and say, okay, yeah, we did the right thing, or we did this or not. What is your vision of what we should do in the next 25 years?
So first of all, I just want to acknowledge to come in here at a starting point that was this impressive, with this many students, creating this many companies, and they're all viable. I mean, I looked at the finals here, but all the other ones, these are legit operations, at school, while they're taking classes. I don't know how you can do that, but they're far along. They're very far along in their customer discovery, which is like one of the most important things. So when I look at LEC going forward, this is a heck of a springboard to start with, but the number of innovations that are going to come out of this institution is going to be geometric. It's going to be in every field. So, one of the key things that we want from LEC, there's 4 of them, but one of the key ones is really this collaboration across all the colleges here. So and you notice the word technology is gone from the center. This is not about technology anymore. It's about kind of cross-pollinating all the different thinkers in the university and getting them to work together. And this is where innovation comes from. And so we talk about AI, we talk about that, and this is how AI will be the servant for you, not you succumbing to AI. This is really a springboard. That's just a great tool to have. But the innovation is going to come from all the collaboration. That's really where it's going to come from. And then, if I may, so we have really 4 pillars that we want from this center. That's one is the collaboration across all the colleges, and why this isn't really just Grainger or just Geese. It's across the whole university. The second one is to really engage our professors and get them more inclined to cause the collaboration and incent their students to write a paper for that startup. So if I have a professor in accounting, I want them to create a forecast for that startup. If it's a law school, I want them to create a template for their distribution plan. If it's, you could just go on. You look at the university, and all we have is resources here for every one of the startups that can come from any college. And so they can all help by being multiple departments for each other, if you will. And they're all going to learn. The students that are actually helping that startup, they've got a real world example that they're going to be able to use in their careers. So this thing just is a flywheel all by itself. And then we also want to have the professors take a sabbatical and ride with these startups and help them get going, then come back and teach what they've learned. I think we could stop. I'll keep going forever. So,
well, that was 2. You have 2 more, right?
I have 2 more. The brand is an irritation point with me. I think this school has accomplished so much, and yet, you see somebody like Stanford, they've got the name brand. Like, really? We've done so much more. This is ridiculous that we don't own what we've accomplished. I'm not talking about being arrogant, but everybody should look at Illinois and say, wow, that place creates. They've accomplished so many things here. I want to go there. And if we get the brand right, we're going downhill. We're not fighting our way uphill, trying to accomplish this, trying to accomplish that. Now all of a sudden we're getting the best professors. Not that we don't have them, but it becomes easier. We're getting the best students to compete with, so every student becomes better. The whole thing just goes forward, and we need to fix the brand here and just take that thing out big time. Nike would be nothing as a shoe company without the branding. So that's just the way to look at it from my perspective.
Great. No, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yes. Right. I. No, very well said. I think, over the many, many years that I've been here 18 years, and I think our campus has typically been very decentralized across many of our functions, of our activities. And I think it's great, it's fine in some respects, but as you might have heard me say this before, that we have beautiful flowers, but we need to make better bouquets. And I think that's an example here. What you're seeing is that Rick and Gayle saw and know that we have beautiful flowers all across the campus, across all of our colleges, and how do we pull it together and really just collaborate more and more. And I think we have no boundaries between departments and colleges when it comes to research. We're doing great in educational programs that really cut across the campus. And then we need to do the same thing in entrepreneurship even more and more so. So thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about, why did this Chicago-Urbana connection excited you? Because I know when we talked about it with you, you were pushing for that. And as a matter of fact, your first gift for the named professorship that we have, that John Tody holds, the Landuyt Family Professorship, the goal, and that's a professorship across Geese and Grainger. It's a joint appointment. And the goal was to build out pathways with Chicago, and also for graduate students. I remember what you wanted. So that, hey, we need to do more for grad student as well. How do you guys work with master's or PhD theses and innovation? Let's work through that. So anyway, the point being, what do you think, why did the Chicago-Urbana thing, how do you think that would be helpful for us?
Well, I'll start. So I worked for a number of years at DePaul University after I left Motorola, and they just had such a connection to the companies that were in the Chicago area. In fact, internships, and it was one of the pluses for being a city school. And I'm like, but U of I is so much, don't tell them better, but, and we don't tend to, maybe there's still a lot, but I know there could be a lot more. That's not as close a partnership. So that was one thing I thought, to really get companies going, you need to have some kind of relationship with the Fortune 500, whether it's, finding, helping you find your market, or them being the market itself. And then also I felt that, the U of I alumni, it's a strong organization, but I feel like if they were more exposed to students, they would hire more for their internships. And I do think if you can get a large company foundation before you go be an entrepreneur, you do learn a lot about how a company runs. It may not be so easy going forward, but at least you might have a better chance if there's real close ties with the companies in the Chicago area. So that's why I thought it. But Rick, I know you might probably have some more.
Yeah, I think in our first conversation, I brought up the Chicago connection. And for me, when I was a student down here, it was a lot of theory. I'd say the first 2 years of theory was great, but by junior year, I was like, I gotta apply this stuff. This is way too, differential equations and stuff. Really? What are you gonna do with that? And it's difficult, right? So you need this balance of applications with the theory when you get to be, at least for me, about a junior. So this Chicago connection was part of my thinking there. And when the dean mentioned, oh yeah, we're gonna have a building in Chicago, and I'm like, UIC's up there, how are you gonna do that? He goes, well, it's basically done. And I'm like, okay, I'm all in, because that corridor needs to, we have a rich base of alums, the internships, the mentorships, all of that application ability to apply to the theory that you're learning down here makes the whole thing valuable, really valuable. And that's so important. And that's the fourth of the four pillars, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you for drawing that out of me.
Can I just add one more thing, though? The reason why I think U of I is better than most of these Chicago area universities is we have such a strong engineering program, that they're clearly the best in Illinois and fifth in the country. So that's the advantage we have. So if you could figure out how to get a presence in Chicago, more so than the other colleges, although our business school is extremely strong too. So that's what I meant when I said that earlier.
Yeah, and I think our Chicago presence at DPI is meant to be a campus resource. Anyone who wants to set up some operations there, anyone meaning across the campus, any colleges, but with a mission on AI. So I think DPI is going to focus on AI. and the Quantum Park is focusing on quantum. So that's kind of our place-based strategy for Chicago. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for helping us enable that and solidify that connection. So let's talk a little bit about your journey. You've had an amazing journey. You have, lessons learned. How can you condense that for our audience here about what you have learned through your entrepreneurship pathway?
Yeah, so, the big thing for my journey is I had a couple of really lucky things happen. One thing, I had 3 other roommates, a geologist, a CS major, and an arts and design major, and I was a double E. And, we talked about girls, we talked about sports, but we talked about starting a business. And that seed got planted, but with that seed, that innovation piece is when I learned that working with different thinkers, it caused us to think completely, and we really noticed it amongst ourselves too. And all 4 of us, as we had talked about starting a business, guess what? All 4 of us became entrepreneurs, bootstrapped our company, so we didn't raise money. That's something I learned about later. We bootstrapped these companies and wound up hiring over thousands of employees amongst ourselves. We also collaborated, pitfalls, speed bumps, how to not do this, how to do this right. And through our whole careers, we're still really good friends. And so that was part of that learning of the seed building and just the talking about it caused it to happen. How to do startups was all part of, really 25 years ago is when I kind of had the aspiration for LEC. And so I would say it was really born out of those relationships and our experience of what we just happened to be lucky to have experienced here at Illinois. And to see these startups at COSAD here and talking about their customer discovery, like they're interviewing customers like in the 3rd week of their classes. I'm like, wow, it took me years to figure out that quit building this thing, go out and talk to customers so I figure out how to build it the right thing instead of pivoting and trying to get it right.
Right. Well, you talk about luck, which is obviously, certainly a factor, but as someone has said, the harder I work, my luck seems to be getting better. So I know resiliency and hard work is critical, and you must have worked super hard, obviously both of you, to get the 3 companies.
She says I didn't do anything that.
Well, it was her initial support, right?
Not going to deny that. No, she was. She's understated. This one here ran all the factories for Motorola and reported to CEO.
Yes. Big round of applause. Yes. Yes.
Another thing about her, she'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm the corporate. I'm just, operations. I don't really, how to do startup. I don't know how to do entrepreneur." But when she went to DePaul, okay, she goes over there. Yeah, she's teaching in the graduate school and bringing, like adjunct experience. So she's getting all, what do you call those, the red hot chili pepper things on her, like, I don't know if that's even still out there.
Happened once.
Anyway, they're like, she teaches like real world stuff instead of theory, and the students were like gobbling this up, and they loved it. Well, part-time, she starts and she looks at, they got this adult education certificate program, and the thing's making $40,000 a year for DePaul. It's like nothing. She goes, well, part-time, I'll do that in addition to doing these classes. She takes that thing in a year or two, and all of a sudden it's making $10 million. And she created the curriculum, she found the adjuncts, okay? She stitched this together, did the marketing to the alums, got the alum database, and built that whole program part-time, and she goes, yeah, I'm not an entrepreneur. Well, what is that?
There's a few slight exagerations in there.
That's
okay, just for the record. Okay.
No,
I told you she was humble, but anyway.
Yes, she's very humble.
Let's take the mug from her right now.
Yeah. No, but I think it also says to the fact that, we have talked a lot about the entrepreneurial mindset. So sure, entrepreneurship is one thing, but entrepreneurial mindset is really important, and you can do that in big companies, you can do it in small companies, you can do it at home, so that's really what, you have an entrepreneurial mindset. even at Motorola, obviously you need to do those, innovate, right, to stay in business. So that's what you did at DePaul too. It was,
ILL.
so let's just talk a little bit about this entrepreneurial mindset. Just kind of briefly, what is your expectation about what we should do with our students in terms of further deepening, broadening, integrating this entrepreneurial mindset? You want to say something about that? How do you teach that?
I'll just say one thing about
Yes.
that, and you could take up, because I think you're a little more experienced than I am in that area. But the one thing that I really like about the initiative that, in terms of spreading across all the different colleges, is that I think the goal is so that every single student at U of I is exposed to entrepreneurship. And, like there's certain key points you could teach them about that where maybe they won't realize it right now, but when they go back home or go back to their jobs or get their they'll start thinking more entrepreneurially. Because I almost wonder if grades will be as important in the future. You know what I mean? Because you get out, you can't get a job, even if you have straight A's and you're, in physics, if you're not, figuring out, well, how can I add value to a company? The other point I want to quickly make is, John Thody and I worked at Motorola in the days when they had these total customer satisfaction teams, where you found a problem that your customer was having, and then you formed a team to address that problem and fix it and make a lot of money for Motorola. And these teams were really successful, saved a lot of money. But the ones, we had competition like this, the ones that always won, first, second, third, all the top ones, were cross-functional, where the sales guy would come in and say, I have this problem, and I need you guys to fix it in IT. And they go, well, I don't know how to do it. So they would involve the factory, and they would involve engineering, and they'd have this wonderful cross-functional team. And those were the ones that the customer was so happy, and the money was just rolling in after that, right? So you're on the right track. It's just look at, and I noticed even the teams, today had some functionality, and the more the better. So anyway, that's the only comment I have. If you want.
Speaking of entrepreneurial mindset, there's a couple things, and Gayle's a perfect example. There's things that I think a lot of people bake into that word that maybe they're sometimes part of it and sometimes not. And risk is one. A lot of times when people hear the word entrepreneur, they think, oh, risk taker, fail. And, like they just assume that that's part of the entrepreneurial mindset, but it's really not. And the other one is creativity. That doesn't have to be part of it either. It's more about collecting things from either the customer or, let's say you're in a department, a large company, you're in a department. You can bring in an entrepreneurial mindset, and there's no risk, and you don't necessarily have to be creative. You just need to solve some problems. And so this is something that I really would like to see the university take hold of, and really across all the colleges, is, you could add risk to entrepreneurial mindset. Yeah, you could add creativity and innovation to it, but they're not mutually exclusive included in there. And that's really the thing that entrepreneurial, you can take that on if you want, or you could be like Gayle, just say, nah, I'm not one of those, but then you act like I'm an entrepreneur.
Can I just add one thing? Rick's been very successful, really. We wouldn't be here where we're at and able to do what we're doing. The two things, like back when we had no money and we were just starting to know each other, the things that attracted me was he was always so curious, right? Always so curious. And I'm like, God, I wish I could be more curious. And I've gotten a little better, but nothing like him. The second thing was, though, he loves to solve problems. Just loves it. Most of it, like, as soon as I get a problem, I hand it to him instead of, like, trying to even solve it, because he just loves to figure it out. And no matter what it is, what time of day or night, he just loves problems. So if you look for those problems and love to try to figure out how to fix them, it doesn't mean you have to be creative, although he's also very creative. So those three things. But I just wanted to make those comments. If you're looking for what skills you need to develop, I'd say those three. All right, thank you.
Well, you two make an awesome team. We need to do more interviews together. But I think I just want to, actually, one more thing. Last night you said some things about customer discovery. about the inner ring, the second ring.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can repeat that to this audience just briefly, because that is how you de-risk what you're doing.
Yeah, and so I was off script too. It wasn't
That's
even
okay.
anything I was going to talk about. But you know, with startups and with building something, and we'll get on the innovation side. So you're making a product, and we saw, you know, just a ginormous room, 2 rooms full of that. And the tendency for the entrepreneur in these cases is to keep building, making this thing add these features. And I call these rings of complexity. So you start with like ring 0 and you keep adding features. And it's fun, especially for, you know, someone building a company and starting out. The thing that is counterintuitive there is you start with ring 0 and you stop. You go no further. You immediately go out to the customer and you go out, say to 10 customers, you go, yeah, I got this product, you know, it's pretty well set to go, and is there anything else you think would get you interested in buying this? And across the 10 customers or 20, whatever you get to talk to, you'll find some common threads. And when you find 3 or 4 are saying, oh, this feature would be great, that's the time you could start to do ring 1, which is probably what everybody's thinking, but that's the time to ask for the order and sell this thing before you have it. And don't be afraid to say, yeah, we have that, but that's coming out, it's in alpha right now, the beta will be coming out in about 4 weeks, or you know, whatever you have to say. But grab the order from the customer. You don't have to take his money, but grab the order. And if he says, well, you know, I don't know, then you know you haven't got a customer. And don't build ring 1. Don't do it. Wait till you get those customers that will fund you and take you to ring 1, and you've de-risked. You've taken a company that's probably got a 60% chance of being successful, and you raise it to 90. And so the fun part is, yeah, build ring 1, 2, 3, 4. Just don't. Unless you want to fail and pivot and keep doing that. You could do that. That's one way to go. And then you'll keep raising money, and you'll keep getting diluted. And when you finally go to sell the company, you got like 8% instead of 70.
Great, thank you. Yes, great lesson, very important. Well, I know there's many more questions in my mind, and I know in the audience as well, but time is limited too. But I'd want to kind of any final advice for our founders? I mean, it already came through, so much great advice, but any final words of advice and wisdom from each of you?
Yes, listen to Rick. Go ahead. Listen to Rick.
I think Jed said it earlier, you know, expect to fail. Don't desire to fail, okay? But expect to fail, expect to fall forward, expect to get up, expect to pivot. Don't expect your first idea to be the right one. The customer is going to show you where the traction's at, and that's okay. So don't get married. Listen to your customer and find the traction that way. That's my advice. Expect to pivot.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much again, Rick and Gayle. It's just been such a pleasure for me personally also to work with you and learn from you and this shared passion. I mean, as some of you know, I'm also an entrepreneur at heart. I have 2 startup companies, so I really, really believe that we can have so many more founders from Illinois who go off and do these great things. And then, yes, we need to market this better. We need to market ourselves better. If it's true, it ain't bragging. So we have to. What's true is not bragging. We've got to do it. I know our Midwest humble mindset of getting the work done, brought us here and actually build the Silicon Valley and build so many things in Chicago. But it's also important to talk about that. And we're taking that at heart as well. And I think this idea of collaboration is also critical. I mean, we deeply believe that. I think each college, right, is participating in that now, more and much more so. Education, of course, GEES as well, but LAS has so much creativity, so many strengths across the campus and the college, vet school. So if everyone starts to identify the problem, what are the problem that we're trying to solve, then that's how you build the solutions, right? Yeah. So. thank you again for your investment in the future.
Well,
Thank
and
you.
one final
Thank you.
word. One final word. I want to thank everybody that brought tech, which is now LEC, to the point it is for us to come in here and invest in this. And it's not a gift, as you said. We're investing. We're just helping this thing go to the next level. So it's so awesome that we get to come in when it's this far along and have it de-risked for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.